Yeah, we can wait 1 minute.
Are we there?
Hello and welcome to the Minor League Cricket Live Show. Here in 2024, it's episode 2, and before we get into anything today, we want to shout out the families who have been affected by 9/11, and a special shout out to the family members of former USA Vice Captain Nizam Hafiz, who passed away 23 years ago working in the North Tower. I'm Owen Patel. I'm joined once again by Nate Hayes. Nate, we're here to talk about minor league cricket, but we have to talk about this first because it's an impactful day for a lot of people.
Yeah, and we should really give Peter Della Penna a lot of credit for mentioning this every year, making sure that not a year goes by without this being mentioned. It's important to remember.
Absolutely, it's important to remember. And you know what? We're remembering. Our prayers and thoughts are with you. But now it's time for minor league cricket, Nate. It was an exciting weekend. We had our little first stint at commentary at Church Street Park to open that up. That was so cool to be back, and it felt like we were just back in minor league.
Oh, it was the best. It was the best. Of course, it all started off on Friday with an amazing game, which you're going to get to in a minute. But yes, it was great to be at Church Street Park under the lights. There's no place I'd rather be when it comes to sports.
Yeah, there's no other place I'd rather be. And with all that action in the South, let's take a look at that table that took place straight away. That southern table, you'll see it there. The Baltimore Royals are stationed at first place with their couple of wins, and they've got 4 wins in their 5 matches, 8 points better than the Raptors are still in second with their nervy win. The Atlanta Fire and Lightning are sitting at 3rd and 4th on the outside looking in. Fort Lauderdale opened their account this weekend, Nate. That's the big storyline. Not a single win to their name.
Yeah, unfortunately, they look like a good team, I think. They have a lot of potential. They just have to get it together. And Orlando hasn't played a game yet.
Yeah, Orlando hasn't played a game yet. But Fort Lauderdale's weekend got started on Friday. Let's take a look at what happened in that Friday match. Because on Friday, Church Street Park was opened up. And the Fort Lauderdale Lions, they won the toss and chose to bat first against the Morrisville Raptors. And Isaiah Raja got off to a hot start with boundaries straight back down the ground. But it was Captain Trevon Griffith who broke the opening partnership. Dajnaran Chanderpaul, well, he tried to break the shackles, but fell to Abhiram Bolasetti with his terrific catch out in the deep. Kevin Stout kept the innings going with a brilliant 54 off 42 deliveries, as well as Ravinder Prasad, who came in later and scored in 27 off 16. As the Lions, well, they finished thanks to some really good death batting with a score of 154. With the bat in hand for the Raptors, it was John Campbell that caught early fire, who knocked boundaries over cover. And then this shot is the shot of the weekend because he nearly took out our cameraman Kyle Obenhofer, his first cricket match ever, ball right next to him. But after a 50-run partnership, the Lions ran out Captain Trevon Griffith to get back into the match. And take a look at it there. Then the leg spinner Isaiah Raja, well, he got to work, taking a wicket with his first delivery. Then 2 balls later, getting said John Campbell. But he wasn't done, because 2 overs later, he would go ahead and take the wicket of Sanjay Stanley, and now it was pressure on the Raptors thanks to this catch there. It was Christopher Barnwell, though, who steered the ship, finishing with an unbeaten 45 off 42. Adam Kahn was challenging with bowling in the death and had to defend 10 off the final over after Ryan Wiggins hit a massive 6 to start the over, but it was Kahn who finished on top because he responded by taking the wicket with a penultimate delivery. But Abhiram Bolasetti walked in needing 2 from 1 and hit the winning runs to cover as the Raptors, they were able to defend home soil. Nate, you and me were on call for this game, and this was just unbelievable. The atmosphere, the vibe, it was what we needed to open up Church Street Park.
Absolutely. It's cricket once again home here at Church Street. There's a hometown boy right there who won the game or scored the winning runs. It was a great game.
Yeah, it was brilliant indeed to see that. And again, it was just like we're back. That was the whole vibe of that entire night because it was building towards that. You felt the ebbs and the flows. It was just so good to be back at Church Street. I know we're harping on that a lot, guys, but there's just a certain energy about Morrisville. That's why they call it Morrisville Magic.
Yeah, and how good was Adam Kahn in that game?
Oh, he was terrific.
Talk about local boys. He's played a lot of his cricket here with the TCL. He was stellar. We weren't even sure he was going to get those last 2 overs.
Right, exactly.
But he did. He went in and bowled the 18th and the 20th and almost won the game. That's a tough position for a leggy.
And with dew on the hands as well, it's a day-night game, and there's plenty of dew and more still. And for him to deliver the way he did, just a testament to his skills. But we would get to see a lot more of Adam Khan and the Fort Lauderdale Lions as we move on to Saturday's matchup, where the Lions once again would win the toss, and they once again chose to bat first. The opening partnership traded massive sixes early, but the Royals were able to pounce. After you see this six there, it was this dangerous piece of running as Obis Pinar and Sharad Lumba combined to dismiss the Lions captain Thajnarayan Chanderpaul, and from then on out, it was the Sarbjeet Ludda show, because after he opened with the maiden, Ludda picked up the wicket of Brian Gale, and then this wicket of Kevin Stout in his return, and Mario Ramprasad and Mohib Siddiqui gave life to the innings with innovative shot selections, but Jaskran Butad, he came back in the end and cleaned up the innings as the Lions only managed 148. With the bat in hand, it was Obis Pinar who led the way, scoring early boundaries and keeping the chase moving. You see, that was my favorite shot of the entire day.
Amazing.
While Ahad Malik fell to Vinit Tagarse and Sharad Lumba, beautiful catch. Sharad Lumba was also done by Kevin Stout. It was all about Pinar's brilliance as he had an unbeaten 88 off 56 to win the game for the Baltimore Royals. And that man on your screen there, Obis Pinar, that game was all about him, Nate.
Oh, he's fantastic, and he's played here enough. He's played here a lot. He's, that we mentioned that he's always kind of batting out of position in minor league.
Right.
He likes to bat where he can finish the game off. Well, he did finish the game off there, but he likes, he's having to open now with Jaskar and Malhotra not available. So, how many times are we going to see him put his hand up out of position even? He's one of the best players in the country. You've mentioned before he's probably the most underrated player in the USA.
Right.
I think that most people know how good he is.
And I want to talk about something too. Sarbjeet Singh Ludda in that game took 3 wickets, and he did it without the webbing in his bowling hand.
Yeah.
We saw it right there. I was watching him come off the field, and it's completely open. He got taken to the emergency room after he finished his quota.
That all happened next to us.
It all happened next to us, and it was unbelievable to see him being able to bowl that well against that good of a batting lineup with, again, no webbing in his bowling hand as a leg spinner.
Yeah, that team just suffered so many injuries.
Yeah.
Baltimore the last few weeks.
Ravinder Singh was hurt as well in that game too, so they had plenty of injuries, and it wasn't going to be the last game of the weekend, Nate, because they had to play that Sunday match yet again against the Fort Lauderdale Lions. Let's take a look at that, because that injury-plagued Royals side was back in action. This time they batted first, and it seems like the Lions would jump ahead after Obis Pinar was caught at fine leg on the very first ball of the innings. But it was Gunwarjeet Singh who blistered the ball around the ground, scoring 90 off of 56 in his return to the 11. And Mahad Malik picked up 46 runs of his own, combining for an 111-run partnership. Adam Khan was limited in his overs, but took 3 wickets in the game, but it was all Royals as they finished with 173 runs. Into the second innings, the Lions scored some early runs thanks to Isaiah Raja's early boundaries, alongside Chanderpaul adding on some of his own. But the Lions fizzled out with a strong start. Raja was dismissed after a juggling catch from Zaid Alam, and from there, the wickets, well, they just started tumbling. Runs dried up, and Thajnarayan Chanderpaul, he would finish with an unbeaten 60 off of 50, but the Lions, they would go 0-3 on the weekend.
They just didn't ever seem to have the urgency in that innings with the bat. They didn't seem to play for the occasion, I felt like, and it was difficult.
Yeah, it was. I mean, again, you can see the wickets falling here, and I just thought this game was often about Thajnarayan Chanderpaul's unwillingness maybe to really push forward. And this was kind of a must-win for me with the Lions, because you're 0-2 going into an 8-game season. You had to find a way to win on opening weekend. At least one of these games, you were in the first 2 pretty heavily. And that third game, you just never let yourself get the opportunity to get in the game.
And Baltimore's done a good job with the morale in their team this season.
Yeah.
You saw Gunatalaik at the end there getting a chance to bowl in the game, taking a couple of wickets in his first, in his debut action in minor league cricket. The whole team was cheering him on. He gave up a 6 of the first ball. The very next ball went for a single. Everybody cheered him on, got him right back into the game, and then he took 2 wickets. I think that the Royals are showing that they're a very well-rounded team.
Yeah, they have plenty of star power, and again, that's kind of the biggest thing from the weekend for me is that even with all the injuries, right? You lose Jaskar Malhotra early, you lose Ravinder Singh, you lose Sarbjeet Ludda. He didn't play in that game.
Right.
You lose all of these pieces, and yet somehow you're going to find guys to step up. Gunwarjeet Singh hadn't been in the 11 since the opening weekend down in Atlanta. He wasn't in it for the last 2 games of that weekend. comes back, scores 90 runs. Neo Navrika comes back, takes 3 wickets. I mean, This is a team loaded with talent. And for me, this is why I thought that they were one of the preseason favorites to come out of the Atlantic. They just have so much depth and high quality positions.
Oh yeah, they're a loaded team. Adding Obus Pinard was an excellent choice. When they lost Obus early, we were talking about the lack of depth in their batting because of injuries. They lost Obus in the first ball. We were worried about that. They showed no signs of slowing down. They had set the high total for the ground so far this season.
Yeah, it was brilliant. But I want to get back to Friday's game because that game was so amazing. It was so cool to see that. And you mentioned Adam Kahn's played a lot of cricket in the Triangle Cricket League here in North Carolina. Obviously, Abhiram Bolasetti, that's where he's cut his teeth, and that's where he's been. We got a chance to talk to both of them after that stellar game. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
I didn't even know I was going to bowl in the death, so I just kind of had to put all the pressure on my back and just perform for my team. What I actually did to get him out was I just slowed it down a little bit, and he ended up missing it.
I think 2 off 1's like a tricky situation just because you don't know whether to go for the win or just kind of block one. But I think instructions were clear to just at least get the single so we tie the game, trying to slow the game down. Don't want to kind of, set up, get rushed into my work, and then Adam's coming and I'm out, I guess. Yeah, I think we get, I think that's us because,
they won the game, but I think with a few more runs, he wasn't going to make it.
Loving it because that young man on your screen, he's delivered a win at home for the Morsel Raptors.
Well, how about that? The 2 guys, friends, and you could just tell that they had such great energy, and they're looking forward to getting back at each other again.
Oh, no question. They're going to get the chance.
Yeah.
This is the South Division. They're going to play a lot of cricket with and against each other in this region all around the year.
Yeah, and we have people joining us, and again, we appreciate you guys joining us. Make sure you put some thoughts in the chat. I see a couple of questions there. We're going to get to you, Ben2976. I know what you said. I'm going to wait until Nate goes about the East because he's definitely got a couple of things about your question. We see you there, Big Janae Nathaniel. So, again, this is terrific to have you guys in the chat. So make sure you keep filling it in. But, Nate, let's jump into the East because this is a division that's incredibly packed, incredibly powerful. You just take a look at that table that you have out there, the standings that we see so far. It's the Philadelphians in first. It's the Somerset Cavaliers in second. The Stallions in third. But the Yorkers are kind of making that late push there with that 4th position.
Yeah, I think that the question with the Yorkers is going to be, are they happy with, do they feel like they had their signature win of the season when they beat the Cavaliers in the first game? If I'm them, I want to beat every team in front of me in that table. I think that they do too. We're going to see some more action from Yasser Muhammad. He gets a chance to bat more in a team like this. Obviously, that Somerset Cavaliers team is so loaded. He was struggling for chances in that team. But now with the wicket a little bit more friendly for batters, a little more friendly for leggies because you can take the chance and give up a few runs looking for that wicket. I think that we're going to see a lot of great stuff from Yasser as the season goes on. And just from that Manhattan Yorkers team in the future, the fact that so many good young players are getting chances. Manoj Acharya is very good in his role. He fits this team perfectly, bowling in the power play. But yes, the teams ahead of them are stellar.
Yeah, look at the New Jersey Stallions. They've played the least number of matches amongst the group outside of the New England Eagles, but they've had 2 losses. New Jersey Stallions have played 3 games. They've won 3 games. And so you're thinking about the Philadelphians. They've played 6 games. You think about the Somerset Cavaliers, and they've played 4 games in their own right. So there's some catching up to do in terms of games played, but they're right there amongst the points. That Stallions team is always dangerous, and they look dangerous again.
That Stallions team is relentless with the ball, and they're patient, and they're very disciplined with the bat, and they take their chances when the chances are there. They're always going to be in every game.
Yeah, well, Nate, you got a chance to watch the entire East weekend and wrap it up. Let's see what you got.
We had a lot going on in the East. So let's take a look at the East I'm on. On Friday, the Manhattan Yorkers faced the Philadelphians for the first place team. Pranav Chattopalayam and Dinesh Patel got the Yorkers off to a tame start at Mercer before Shivram Chowdhury struck in the 5th to get Pranav. Dinesh Patel kept the scoreboard ticking, but Raj Bhavsar went too slowly, and he was bowled by Abdul Jabbar. Manhattan would tack on 22 from the next 16 balls before Nirmith Shashidhar would force 1 too many, and he was run out by Divishwari Prasad. Dinesh would see his run of ball 35 come to an end in the 15th thanks to another clutch moment from Jonathan Fu, but Yasser Muhammad said he's ready to show off his bat this year, and he does so here in the 16th. With wickets in hand in the 18th, the Yorkers looked to accelerate, but Jonathan Fu won't be targeted easily, and a nice catch here by Taha Waric sends Ishan Sharma back to the dugout. Yasser Muhammad helps the Yorkers past 125 in the first. That might not be enough against this star-studded team. Christopher Vantul starts off the chase with a flash, but Arya Garg gets Ryan Scott for a duck on the final ball of the first over. Manoj, look at this stuff here from Arya Garg. He's so good. Manoj Acharya does a few things well, but when he's at his best, he's taking wickets in the power play, and he sends Balaji home in the third before bowling Taha Waric with the very next ball. Bhaskar Yadram says he likes to bat more than bowl, and he's about to show the Yorkers why. Philly recovered to get 43 for 3 heading into the eighth, where some miscommunication leads to the run out of Vantul, who was maybe getting frustrated with a few too many dot balls. Manhattan needed more wickets, and Bhavsar knew it, and there aren't many wickets bigger than Jonathan Fu. Abhishek Vedam produced a nice cameo to take the pressure off Yadram before falling to Ishan Sharma in the 16th. But it was all Bhaskar Yadram from here as the Philadelphians cruised to victory with 8 balls and 4 wickets in hand. Yadram's 67 from 53 and an economical 17 runs with the ball earned him player of the match.
Well, that was terrific. I mean, and the question in the chat that I was waiting for was, Ben was asking us, what do we make of Yadram? Is he capable of taking his game to the next level? I absolutely think he can. I think that he's got the numbers and the skill set. I think he's got the bat to do it. I'm not sure the ball translates, but with the bat in hand, I don't think there's any question.
I think he's a very good T20 cricketer, first of all.
100%.
Even with the ball.
The cutters, 100%.
Yeah, and he's unusual, and
Sure.
I think batters are going to they're going to have to figure him out, for a few balls. I think he's an incredibly useful T20 player, very powerful. I think he's got all the potential in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that wasn't the end of the weekend. We still had more Bhaskar Yadram and still more matches. Take us on to the next day, Nate.
Yeah, moving on to Saturday. Manhattan Yorkers versus Somerset Cavaliers. Yorkers made a splash in week 1, beating the Cavs. But here we go. They get a splash again with Arya Garg, showing how he's so highly rated. And then you've got Saad bin Safar. He takes the fight right back to Yash Kangora in the 15th with 14 runs, 2 fours, and a 6. But Arya Garg, he would exploit that Captain Canada's aggression very next over. USA alum Syed Abdullah went big against current USA leggy Yasser Muhammad as the Cavs asserted their aggressive approach in front of MLC scouts, including Ross Taylor from the Seattle Orcas. Halfway through, the Cavs were at 87 for 2 when Bhavsar once again made a mark on the middle overs, this time finishing Kenar Lewis's day. But it doesn't get easier when Gaj Singh comes into the middle. Yasser got his revenge against Tank in the 13th before Bachu mercifully ended Saeed's day thanks to a handy catch here by Patel. But Gaj Singh was on one yet again, and he would not be denied. Yasser, he's going to force a stumping. Here goes, first of all, let's take a look at Gaj Singh going deep. And then Yasser's going to... He's amazing. Yasser forces a stumping here of Shimpi in the 17th, which proved to be only a speed bump, as Gaj Singh would walk with 53 runs from 30 balls to set a challenging target of 169. That's more than a challenging target at Mercer. And in the chase, the Yorkers would not only have to chase a large total, they'd have to do it against one of the best pace attacks in the league. Najaf Shah continued his dominant run. Abdullah Ghazi joins in. They provide no rest for the weary, and Shah and Ghazi just take turns beating the corpse in the power play. Take a look at this. This is just devastating. You'd think they would get a break, but no. These two bowlers are ridiculous. It leaves the Yorkers with barely a pulse, while Rishi Shimpi is smelling blood, waiting to get in there, but not before Najaf Shah can take another wicket. And here comes Rishi Shimpi. He's tearing off his own pound of flesh or two with a couple of wickets of his own. Just so difficult. This class of this bowling is ridiculous. Bobber's over there with his mouth agape. Somehow Arya Garg and Yash Kangra managed to drag the Yorkers nearly lifeless remains from 19 for 8 in the 7th to 45 in the 15th until Rishir Joshi paired with Kangora for another 26 before it was all over. A gutsy finish for the youngsters, but not enough. Moving on to Philadelphians take on the NYC Titans. Ryan Scott finally moved Philly into second gear in the 3rd over after a slow start. But a nice catch from Alex Algu in the 4th over. Right here, look at that beautiful catch. followed by a run out from Taha in the 5th, would make the road rocky for the Philadelphians. Look at this. What were they thinking?
There's no way you run 2 on that. Don't run on a missed field, is what Brian Walters always say.
Exactly. Yadram would join Scott in the left. He put his foot down, taking Philly to 52 for 2 before skying out to Ravel in the 8th. Worthy of the celebration, Yadram and Chowdhury would fall to Katapali and Laban right here, and Ashish Vadam would fare no better. Thanks to this effort from Ravel to run down the catch. But Philly are never out of the game as long as Fu is in the middle, and Devashwari Prasad would provide some acceleration of his own. With a nifty cameo right here, giving Philly a 73-run partnership to close the first at 140 for 6, with Fu at 41 from 30 without loss. In the chase, the Titans would start things off with big noise out of the gate as Alex Algu and Ryan Shun quickly moved NYC to 30 runs. Right. But then you get Abdul Jabbar, who just keeps it up all season. He strikes there. Chowdhury, there's another great catch right there. Excellent stuff from Chowdhury. And Kwame Patton Jr. Just puts one over the ropes, over the outstretched arms. But he can't keep it going, and he's going to get caught here in the covers. Yadram would get a wicket of his own, followed by Drysdale. Yeah, excellent stuff there. Drysdale getting his own. As the Titans run out of gas, and another big day from Abdul Jabbar. He takes 3 wickets for 18 runs, and he helps Philly to a doubtless win on Saturday to close out the action in the East Division.
I mean, how about that? Brilliant stuff there. And again, loaded Eastern Division indeed. And, I think about the way Bhaskar Yadram rolled. Drysdale was great. You can see why Philly looks so good there. And what a beautiful Saturday that was.
They're just deep with the bat. They're deep with the ball. Anytime you've got Jonathan Fu in there in the second half of the innings, with either bat or ball, you got a chance. Bhaskar Yadram, it's such a good team.
And we got to see him one more time. Nate, take us to Sunday.
Yes, Sunday. First of all, we're going to start it off with the Yorkers versus NYC Titans. And let's start off with that. Another grinding partnership for Pranav and Dinesh to take the Yorkers to 19 without loss after 4 was ended by Mario Laban, who went on to take 3 wickets in the innings. Siddharth Kappa got off to a good start, but Ravish Kanchi ensured that he couldn't convert it right here. Yasser Mohammed showed signs of breaking out, but Kanchi continued his habit of firefighting, ending Yasser here at 12 from 12. Great stuff there from Kanchi. Kwame Patton Jr.'s spectacular grab right here helped Zaman take out Deep Patel. Look at that catch, who came up just short. Manoj Acharya is about to show up on your screen here. He boosted the innings with a quick 14 from 5. Man, he can really flash the bat a little bit to put Manhattan in a strong position at 141 for 6. Danish Patel tops score with 35 for the Yorkers. And there's another shot by Manoj Acharya right there. But in the chase, Manoj Acharya took his typical early scalp, removing Ryan Shun for a duck right here. Alex Algu then demonstrated his skills from the word go. The middle overs, he took the team into the middle overs. Look at this. Here's another great shot from Algu. Man, that is a strong batter. He's got quite a reach as well. Middle overs were a problem for the Titans with Bhavsar and Bachu, keeping the Titans to 50 for 3 into the 10th over. Algu's long reach in a second here. There we go. There's the 2 wickets we talked about. Here's Algu's long reach. Bam. Absolutely devastating the ball, delivering the goods. But those same long arms forced 1 too many shots into cow corner, once again thanks to Bachu. As you get an easy catch by Yasser Mohammed. He was a menace in the 15th over. He's about to take the ball, getting Shashank Krishnamurthy and Rawal Zaman before they can really get going, either of them. Great bowler. It's great to see Yasser Mohammed in a leadership role with this team. Look at that. That's plum. You got to give it to him. Arya Garg always delivers the goods, but it's a bit easier when Nimish Bachu is putting his body on the line like that. What a tremendous catch. Maybe the best catch of the weekend right here, especially in the Atlantic. And the Yorkers bowled themselves to victory by 33 runs. We got one more game on the day. It's New Jersey versus Philly. A clash of Eastern Division giants. The Stallions were short Jesse Singh, But a few early blasts from Christopher Van Tol put Philly on the front foot, but he paid the price for his hurry, falling to Mustafa in the second. Ryan Scott tried to keep the pedal down, but Madon took his man in the 7th over we're about to see. With this excellent wicket.
I mean, Madon was fired up all weekend long, wasn't he?
All weekend. Philly is at 50 for 2. Supreet Madon continued, this time taking Arsh Arora, and NJ Stallions were showing signs of trouble at 52 for 3. Bhaskar Yadram and Taha Warwich would partner for 53 runs, flowing freely to bring up the run rate until Taha fell for 29 from 28. In just a moment here, this was an incredibly important partnership. You watched the two of these guys bashing the ball all over the place. But as I forecasted a little bit too early, there we go. Another great shot by Bhaskar. I just couldn't get enough of putting these clips in here.
Bhaskar was batting terrifically.
Yeah, and then we get finally here, as I predicted, Taha falls for 29 from 28 to Leggy Enarud Emmanuel. But it wouldn't slow down Yadram, who would power Philly to 139, a reasonable target at Mercer, but not out of New Jersey Stallions' reach. You can't count them out. Sai Mukamala especially, he would start with intent. Right here, look at that shot. That's excellent to see from Sai, from the youngster. But he falls here to Drysdale. What a beautiful ball. The Unicorns bowler in Major League Cricket. Ray Ramadan would come in, and he would show his all-round class early, striking this beauty off of Devashwar Prasad. He and Madon would partner to take the Stallions to 53 runs in the 9th before skying out, thanks to Jonathan Fu, who's about to bowl this. Well, we're going to see a little bit more shots here from Madon. I jumped the gun a little bit. But we had a decent partnership going, and Fu always throws a wrench in things.
He's always into the act, isn't he? He gets with the bat, with the ball you see there, and things just kept going the way of the Philadelphians.
Yeah, Sarpal Islam taking a wicket here, showing the depth of Philly's bowling. You can't count anyone out on this team, and he uproots Ramerton. The shot here from Mustafa really had me impressed, running down and still cutting the ball late, but it didn't impress Janoy Drysdale, who sent him back really shortly after that for 19 runs, as you'll see. Boom. Oh, nope. And then you get, Hiren Patel would give, Hiren Patel would give NJ hope. Wig and Reza would come in. There's Hiren Patel. Look at that. Great shot from the young man. Beautiful. And I'll tell you what, you can't count New Jersey out. And they bat incredibly deep. Everybody on the team bats. There we go. He finally gets them out right there. Wig and Raza would make the innings shorter than it needed to be.
Yeah, we get close, and then it was all about the boundary hitting at the end from Stephen Wigg, showing off the depth of that New Jersey Stallions order as he finished it off in style with 6 deliveries remaining after that. And again, this was a game that really could have gone either way, and Stephen Wigg showed his ability to finish games off for the New Jersey Stallions, and how good was he?
You could see what it means to everybody celebrating on a Sunday afternoon. But yeah, excellent stuff from New Jersey. You can't count them out. They're an amazing team. They have depth with the ball, depth with the bat. So does Philadelphia. But this is a class you can't miss.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the chat, Ben, thanks for staying with us. He said it's quite helpful bowling wickets. I've noticed, not a bad thing. Just saying it does make it hard to rate bowlers, or at least for me in this tournament. Bit like New Zealand domestic steady seamers. I would say that there are more friendly bowling wickets out in the East, but I think there's still that ability to tell the individuals who are kind of trending in the right direction. I think look at Arya Garg, look at Najaf Shah. You can tell they seem ahead above the rest.
Yeah, I think so. And then also we have the ability with the statistics, the advanced stats that minor league provides to rate players, because we're going to have that. We're going to have places in the East that are tougher for batters. We're going to have places in the Central that are better for batters. So, we have to find ways to make to make oranges into apples so we can compare them. And we have a way to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Those advanced statistics are amazing. And speaking of heading from the Central to the East, let's go to the Central now. We'll start with the table out there, because it's quite interesting what this table looks like in my views of it, because I don't know if many people expected the St. Louis Americans through 2 weeks to be atop the table with their 2 wins and a loss in their 3 matches, notching at 4 points. You also have the Houston Hurricanes right there. They're just slightly behind them in the net run rate. Dallas Victoria Giants, they have one of the no results of the weekend. That was, they'll feel hard done by that, alongside the Lone Star Athletics, who featured in that no result. No wins for them, quite surprising. A win for them, so they do have 2 points. That graphic isn't fully correct there. And the Michigan Cricket Stars, they don't have any wins to their name. So this is quite an interesting division. You know, with the Dallas Mustangs gone, it opened things up, and it seems to be wide open, Nate.
Well, it's still a great division. It's a tremendous division. And yes, it is surprising to see St. Louis there, but there's a good reason why they're there, and we're going to get to that. You're going to get to that soon.
Yeah, I mean, they have some incredible players. And let's just start with what happened on Friday for this division. We'll start with the St. Louis Americans because they opened up their season taking on the Dallas Exploria Giants. They won the toss. They elected to bowl first, and runs came early off the bat for Chaitanya Bishnoi and Gaurav Bajaj. But this partnership was eventually broken thanks to this beautiful in-swinger from Abhimanyu Lamba. Akarshat Gomo, though, he kept the runs flowing with the boundaries around the ground, but it was the bowling exploits, as you see this here. Later on, it was the bowling exploits of Noman Anwar that did the trick. He picked up 2 more wickets in the form of Chaitanya Bishnoi and Naushad Sheikh. Once again, it was a partnership between Shubham Ranjane and Harmeet Singh that propelled the innings. Singh cashed in 40 off 16, batting at a 250 strike rate, while Ranjane finished with 55 off 36 not out as the Exploria Giants got to 188. With the bat, it was Noman Anwar who got things going early with 3 incredibly boundaries, including a glowing cover drive, but it was Shrikant Batua who got out. And then it was just this run-scoring machine of Zahid Sahil who came in and hit bombs everywhere. But it wasn't going all their way because Noman Anwar picked out the man out at mid-wicket, and Harmeet Singh then got in on the act, getting Sahil with his 5th delivery. And St. Louis mounted a few more runs, highlighted by Angan Singh's 28, but 5 more wickets between Sarkar Batua, Harmeet Singh, and Shubham Ranjane closed out a 45-run win for the Exploria Giants. So while the St. Louis Americans might have finished the weekend on top, they started it on the losers column.
And one of the things I like here is seeing Zahid Sahil on a team where he's got a defined role. He has an absolute secure role in that team. I like seeing the way he played in that innings. It was inspiring.
Yeah, he was just going at it very, very quickly. You could see he's in there to hit the ball in really any type of situation. And we saw every type of situation for the St. Louis Americans. Let's move on to Saturday's matchup here. It was the St. Louis Americans again, back-to-back days. This time they faced the Michigan Cricket Stars. The Cricket Stars elected to try their hand at batting first, but they got off to the worst possible start thanks to this from Lamba once again to knock over Sushant Modani. It was then a lefty-righty partnership between Abhinav Sekaram and Ritik Behera that brought the Cricket Stars back into the game, and this beautiful shot was just amazing. But Behera was undone by this delivery, scoring just 35 runs, but Sekaram kept things going, hitting bombs, finishing with 45 runs of his own, and it was Waqas Salim who was the man who got it going, scoring 51 off 30 and propelled Michigan to 171. But it was yet again Noman Anwar providing runs at the top, hitting boundaries for fun, getting 43 off 30, and it took a piece of brilliance from Muned Ahmed to dismiss Anwar, and from there, game took a turn, but Zahid Sahil made sure he got in and got going as that first wicket partnership started to develop. But right on cue, Nash Kenjige takes a wicket, and then Sahil continued to blast the ball around, but it was Usman Farouk who came in after with the well-placed bouncer, and then Manu Khan came in to bat, and he walked in, required run rate was 10, and my oh my, this prompted Angad Singh to hit boundaries, this prompted Kakar to hit boundaries, Waqas Salim was finding runs off his bowling, and with 13 to go off 13, it was Abhimanyu Lamba and Mohammad Ilyas who got things going. With 10 off the final over, Ilyas took Naran Reddy Dharmad for not 1, but 2 massive sixes to win the game for the St. Louis Americans. So they avoided going 0-2 thanks to those 2 big shots there, and that was all she wrote as the St. Louis Americans claimed their first win in Minor League 2024.
What an awesome game. That's absolutely sensational. What a beautiful broadcast too.
Yeah, it's a great venue, right? Grand Prairie, and it's incredible to get games over there. And for St. Louis, you can just see that when they're batting at Grand Prairie, there's something about it because it feels like they have a lot of hitters on their team, guys who like to hit through the line. Saw a couple of no-look boundaries there. So you were seeing that quite consistently from them. So this is a team that likes batting on that track. They got to win. And when you get a close win, Nate, it just kind of propels your unit.
100%. And if you like hitting the ball straight, if you like hitting bombs straight, that's a good ground for you.
Absolutely. Well, Sunday was a doubleheader, so let's jump to it because that featured doubleheader started off with the Lone Star Athletics taking on the Houston Hurricanes. Lone Star, they got off to a hot start with wickets of Utter Ali and then Joshua Trump off the bowling of Imran Khan Jr. Matthew Trump fell on the next over off the bowling of Nakashi Basharat, and it was a partnership between Saif Badar and Ali Sheikh that kept the match alive for the Hurricanes. Sheikh finished as the high scorer of 32 off 28, as the Hurricanes finished with 109. With the bat, it was business as usual for the Athletics, thanks to a strong partnership between Smit Patel and Awezia, who finished in the 40s. Smit Patel would bring up his 50 alongside Milind Kumar's 13 off 12 to win by 9 wickets. And I mean, this was dominance in the purest form against a very, very good team. But moving to Grand Prairie, Michigan won the toss and elected to bat first. And with the bat, it was tough sledding as wickets kept falling thanks to Mohammad Ilyas's 3 wickets in the early going. Waqas Salim and Utkar Srivastava stabilized the innings for a while with both boundaries around the ground, but Ujvav and Nakoda broke through, getting Salim, and the tail end for the Stars were able to put on some runs on the board, but Omar Farouk couldn't do much with his 27, and the Cricket Stars were held to 125. And for the third straight day, it was business as usual for Noman Anwar, blasting 49 off 19, highlighted by this boundary. Joining him, it was Zaid Sakil, who was able to cash in. But first, we had to look at Noman Anwar's shots. Zaid Sakil there, the lefty, 53 off 33, finishing not out as the Americans won the match in just 10 overs. Nate, they chased down 125 runs in 10 overs. That's ridiculous.
That's fantastic. I mean, first of all, the first innings was excellent for them. And then to do what they did in this, it just got better as the weekend went on. It's an exciting team. They're missing some key players that they had last season, but they filled in with some very, very good talent. The worry that I had about them was their bowling. My goodness, well, they showed on that day that they were very good.
Yeah, and Abhimanyu Lumba has really been a revelation for me. The way he's swinging the ball in early, he just creates early problems. You saw the wicket to Sushant Modani, who just got back into the USA squad. That's not a great way to leave your domestic circuit, but I mean, he was just phenomenal. And so this bowling unit just looks intact, like you said. They look like they're doing well. I enjoy what I'm seeing from them. This entire Central Division just so wide open, and St. Louis making a claim at it.
Every division is close. Every division's got its own stories, and it's fun to watch.
This is why we love minor league cricket, Nate.
It's why we love minor league cricket. We get some great rivalries.
Let's talk about great rivalries in another close division. Let's move out west. Nate, you got to see it all in action. Tell me what you saw.
We haven't had a lot yet from the west, but what we've had has been pretty good. We're going to have 12 games next week. We're getting to that later. Ooh. But right now, let's take a look at where the standings are. And these are the 3 kind of big teams historically in the West, along with the Seattle Thunderbolts that have made the playoffs. All 3 of these squads. East Bay is everybody's favorite right now, Silicon. It's kind of working out how you would think it would. Golden State Grizzlies are very interesting because much like the Yorkers, they're a very young team. And they're captained by Vasil Veghela. So I'm curious. I can't wait to see what happens with Seattle. I think they actually look like they might be one of the top 2 teams in the league this season. Yeah. But we're going to have to find out. You've got to play the games. And then, of course, the SoCal teams, which we got Joe Hickey. We'll be publishing that tomorrow, an interview with Joe Hickey has with a couple of wonderful guests from the Southern California teams.
Yeah, I mean, again, I look at this table and I see East Bay at the top spot where I think a lot of people had them, but I'm not ready to say who's the favorite in this division. I want to see Seattle play. I want to see these SoCal teams play. But, we got to see these 3 teams play yet again. Tell me what you saw. Tell me what happened. What are your mind now?
Well, we can start off by getting into the games in the West. On Friday, in the West, we saw Silicon Valley Strikers versus Golden State Grizzlies. As big of a rivalry as there is. Grizzlies won the toss, sent in the Strikers, promptly dished out early boundaries when Holak, steering the ship along with Shehan Jayasuriya, over it and around and through the field. Excellent stuff there from these 2 big men. Watch, you're going to see another good strike here. They just pounded this particular area in the field. We got a lot of view of the tents on that day. So here we go with the Strikers at 119 for 1. Vasil Veghela called his own number in the 14th, and he finally ended Hotak's day for 44 runs from 40. And then again in the 16th, he got Shehan, and he took another wicket once again, but his 3 late wickets could not stop the bleeding. There you go. There's another good catch. And Silicon Valley Strikers set a very good total. The Golden State Grizzlies and the Chasers, Sodhi and Anthony Bramble teamed up to take Bramble's counterpart Rahul Jarawala right there. Grizzlies guard put up a fight, scoring 31 from 35 before succumbing to the savvy finger spin of Shehan. Well, Nadaraj knew the assignment, and he gassed up a good 32 from 13, but it couldn't last. It's tough to come back from there against the best bowler in the USA, Saurabh Netravalkar. I'm talking about him. He took 2 for 12, and so he would finish with 4 himself. Amzadai with 3, and Silicon Valley Strikers would conquer Golden State Grizzlies by 61 runs. Pretty easy victory for SVS there. On Saturday, we're going to jump right to Saturday. Slow start put the Strikers in a hole early against East Bay. It's a situation ensured by Rushil Gugakar and a great catch by Ganesh behind the stumps. Anthony Bramble never shies away from a challenge. He strikes big right there. But former striker Abhishek Parekar decided he's seen enough, and he claimed Cheyenne Jaisaria in the 8th with another great take from Ganesh. Terrific stuff there from Ganesh from behind. Bramble would get his 50 before Parekar in the 10th. Oh, sorry about that. And here we go. We got Bramble. He's going to town, and Parekar strikes right there, finally getting him, ending his day. And then Gary Graham, Parekar answers again with Gary Graham. At this point, Parekar has 3 wickets. He's dominating. And then he takes Pranay Suri, his former teammate, right there. He couldn't stop the destiny. The late surge from SVS never did come, but we did get a spectacular run-out throw right here from Suleiman. You'll watch this. Everybody is going to, it's coming up right here in a minute.
I mean, this was just domination here, but I mean, this was just terrific. Again, you talked about the bowling, and then in the field, they just kept that pressure going.
That direct hit. You love the direct hit when you only have one stump to aim at. Garkar took 3 to Parekhar's 5 wickets, and the Strikers crawled to 96 all out, leaving 14 balls on the table in the process. Amazing game from that man right there, USA's Abhishek Parekar. Blazers made it a little bit interesting in the chase. Ganesh fell for a duck to Suleiman, and Sujit Gowda top scored with 27. Got to see him whacking it around a little bit. Boom. Excellent stuff from Sujit Gowda. It's great to see him in the runs. Sanjay Krishnamurthy had a cameo of 22 from 13, and that was wrapped up by Hotek in the 6th right here. But a relatively speedy power play was enough of a foundation to carry the Blazers to victory, in spite of the best efforts from Kush, taking 2 wickets in the 9th, including this one right here. Aditya Ganesh finally put the game away in the 19th with a boundary, and that was it. East Bay won pretty easily with several balls in hand. Not the easiest place to bat, but this is how we kind of thought that one would pan out.
Yeah, I mean, the East Bay Blazers, again, look like the best team in at least that division, and maybe the entire Pacific Conference. You think of the major leaguers on that team, you think of the Carmine Rouge, you think of Sanjay Krishnamurthy, you think of Aditya Ganesh, and then you think of Abhishek Parekar, who's just a phenomenal piece to have on that team.
What about Rushil Garkar?
Yeah, there you go, Rushil Garkar, who's come into that side as well. So they have so many pieces. You look at Silicon, and you just think they don't have the batting. Losing Lahito Malanta, such a big thing. You do have Gary Graham, you do have Cheyenne Jaisaria, but there's so much pressure on them. There's so much of that load that they have to bear. And then with the ball, they still have the pieces, but this is a season where you really could have used a Rahul Jariwala on this team, right? This is the season that he could have really been their breakout star. So I think they're missing that depth, and that's hurting them in the end.
And East Bay is kind of like the New Jersey Cavaliers of the West in their fast bowling department. Their fast bowling is so deep. You see somebody, you think maybe their third best fast bowler's taking 3 wickets. There's no such thing as a third best fast bowler on this team. Everybody's good. You got Carmine Leroux. You got just a very deep bowling attack on this team.
Yeah, it's terrific. And again, this division's only going to get more enticing to watch, right? With those SoCal lashings, and you're going to see the Seattle Thunderbolts get into the attack. And you're not only going to get to see minor league live once that division kind of starts to open things up. And there's more to come, just not within the division, but through video content coming on MLC Network as well. Tell us about that.
Yeah, first of all, we did publish the Gajanan Singh video yesterday, an interview I did with him. It's MLC Talk, or Minor League Talk, with Gajanan Singh and myself. And then we got Joe Hickey coming up. There's good Joe's smiling face, and he's got a couple of wonderful guests this week that we're going to publish that one on tomorrow. So check it out. He talks a lot about the South, a part of California on that video. We want to make sure that they get the love. They haven't played any games yet, but they got to get the attention, some of the attention too.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's plenty of things to talk about with that unit because every winner's been in the Pacific Conference, right? So far in minor league cricket, all 3 winners, 2 of them in the California region, in the West Coast, excuse me. And, you think about Golden State, and you think about what they can do as a young side. You think about, I think Seattle's still right back in there. You mentioned, the San Diego Surf Riders, the SoCal Lashings. So
yeah.
This is a whole division that's really wide open because Seattle had that massive loss of talent. You saw Silicon Valley not the same side that they were maybe 2 years ago, even in the year before that. And then East Bay, they seem to be the best team, but things happen, right? That's the beauty of a competition, and in a shorter competition, sometimes it just takes 1 or 2 games to kind of throw you out. And
we talked earlier about a growth mindset. I think that the Los Angeles Lashings, I think that they have kind of a good growth mindset. They're okay. I think they took a couple seasons ago. I think they took a look at the division and said, "There's this dogfight up there in the north. We're going to do it slow and steady. We're going to get better a little bit every single year." Yeah. And now you see a team like Golden State who's saying, hey, look, we got to take a step back, make sure our youth get lots of chances so we know who to dig in with going forward. So it's a little bit of transition in the West. We don't have, in the past, it was always like everybody needed to be at the top right at this moment.
Sure.
We're having a little bit of different stages now happening in the West.
And I think that's the beauty of the league as it continues to mature and develop, that, you see it in the NBA where teams are clearly, trying to get back into the mix, and teams that are ready, they're all in this season. The NFL has that. Every single league has teams like that, and I think that's part of a successful league is that, some teams aren't going to win the Super Bowl that year. They're not going to win the championship that year.
True.
But they're able to develop and build pieces into the next.
Yeah, and that's what you have. You have that option in minor league cricket, especially as these younger players. We have a lot of players in the teenage years who are very good in the USA. We're going to get even more of them in the minor league in the next 5-10 years. And it's going to be just a lot of fun to watch these players grow all around the country in all these different tournaments. And we're going to get to see a lot of it ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of great moments, it's time for maybe what was the most fun thing we did last week. Our top 10. Let's take a look at our top 10 plays of the week. This is just what we were able to put together. But at number 10, we're going to start with this catch from Zaid Alam off the carom, jogging down. We saw that live. Terrific take there. And let's move to number 9 now. It's Gurjendra Singh's 53 not out off 30. He was smashing the ball all around the park. You heard Nate talk about it. That was terrific from Gurj Singh back-to-back weeks. Moving on to number 8. It's Abhiram Bolasetti, who hits the winning runs off his first delivery at Church Street Park under the lights, needing to, gets to claim a win and to open Church Street Park. Then we move to Shubham Ranjani at number 7. His 55 off 36, hitting the ball all around Grand Prairie, showing what he did in Major League Cricket as well. And then let's move into number 6. This was one of those catches out in the East. It was Patel's brilliant diving take going forward to make that catch there. Brilliant stuff as he gets under that ball. Moving on to number 5 now, it's Obis Panar, who was just, again, sensational. 88 off 56, highlighted by this brilliant boundary straight back down the ground.
What a great innings that was. Incredible.
He was fantastic. On to number 4, it's Gunwarjeet Singh as we move into that 4th place. It's 90 off of 56, the highest score from the weekend, and he did this so often, hitting balls all around the park. But number 3, we got to go to our bowlers. We got to give love to our bowlers. We'll do it here. Number 3, it's Najaf Shah, because in his 3.2 overs, he gave up 5 runs, 2 maidens, took 3 wickets, at an economy of 1.5. Brilliant from the Somerset Cavaliers captain. He was phenomenal, but it wasn't just Najaf Shah. The lefties reigned supreme as Abhishek Bardikar slots in at number 2 for his brilliant 5 for Nate. This was just unbelievable.
Yeah, he was on fire that day. He was moving the ball very well, getting out the important wickets in that innings. Oh, just a tremendous game from Bardikar.
Yeah, again, you see them getting guys trapped on the crease and from different angles. It was just brilliant for him to return to minor league this way. Let's move now to number 1. It's that man, Bhaskar Yadram, who was just smacking the ball all over the place. 67 off 53, and then 62 off 44. He was so phenomenal, so good on 2 separate days. We had to give it to him. Those are our top 10 plays of the week. Let us know what you guys think. Did we miss anything there, Nate, you think?
It's tough to tell. What we got was good. As I said last week, we could probably have 20 of those and have a great time with it. but we just don't have the time to compile it.
And again, if you guys have ideas for that top 10, make sure you send Nate and I a message. Maybe send us a video clip. We might be even more enticed to use your mention because you did half the work for us. We tried to put them together in that little compilation. So if you want to do that, you can message him at CrickFanUSA, message me at APSportsNews_, or message both of us at BigInnings_ on Instagram, and you can do the CrickFanUSA and APSportsNews_ Instagram, Twitter, both places will be fine. Well, that was a brilliant top 10. We had so many great moments. And I noticed here in the chat, they're talking about young players and domestic players and things like that. I see Smith Patel saying, yo, what's up? How we doing? Good to see you, Smith.
What's up, man?
Good to see you in there. But they're talking about young fans at Church Street Park. And that kind of leads us to the emerging player of the week. But before we give you this graphic, right, we want to get, there were a couple guys in the running for this. It was a two-man race.
It was a two-man race for sure.
Speaking of young fans at Church Street, Adam Kahn's performance at Church Street Park with 5 wickets at an economy of 6.83 was brilliant. How good was he this weekend?
He was so good. He was bowling in pressure situations for his team, especially that first game, having to bowl in the death, having to bowl 2 overs. We thought he was only going to bowl those first 2 overs that he bowled brilliantly, but then he ended up having to bowl two of the final 3 overs of the innings, and he got it all the way down to the last ball. And almost closed it out. But yeah, he was tremendous all week. And his accuracy was so impressive.
Yeah, in the death with due, didn't
matter.
The whole weekend was just phenomenal. But he just barely misses out on the emerging player of the week.
Just barely.
We had to give it to the man up in the East, the young left arm seamer. Arya Garg is going to get our emerging player of the week this season, part of the Manhattan Yorkers. 5 wickets at an economy of 5.73 in big-time games against the defending Atlantic Conference champions. He was terrific.
He was excellent. He gave his team a chance to win every time he took the ball. He took wickets early. He bowls a lot in the power play. A difficult time to bowl, especially for a young bowler. He looks like he's ready. He looks like he's ready for the challenge every single time.
Yeah, he was brilliant to watch. We'll move now into the Atlantic Player of the Week. Last week, it was kind of a runaway with Gurjendra Singh. This week was a little bit closer now. We had a couple of guys within that conversation.
Did we now?
Okay, I'm trying to hype it up. I'm trying here, guys.
Well, yeah, we did have a couple. We had Obis's 88.
Right, you had Obis's 88. You had Kumarjeet Singh, he had 90.
Oh, that was a great innings, by the way.
Christopher Barnwell was brilliant with 50. Took a couple wickets in the match, but only played 1 game. Kind of hurt him there.
True, yeah.
Sarbjeet Ladda only played the 1 game because he got hurt.
Najib Shah, too.
Najib Shah. I mean, it was brilliant. But yes, I was overdoing it with the candidates there. It wasn't as close as our emerging player of the week.
It was pretty good. Well, now that we talked about it, it was It's
but
close.
We had a pretty quick agreement on who we thought was our Atlantic Player of the Week. It's going to be none other than Bhaskar Yadram as a member of the Philadelphians. You can't argue with it. 62 off 44, back it up with 67 off 53, and if you didn't think that was enough, 2 wickets, giving up just 23 runs in 4 overs, Nate.
Yeah, he was ridiculous. He was fantastic. He was tremendous all weekend long. He's at the top of the runs. He's at the top of the wickets for the division. He's just a performer. We talked earlier about him. Ben asked if we thought he could translate to the next level. I think he can. I really do think he can. I think it's just going to be about getting the experience and just more time and just making sure that he gets a little more well-rounded. But he's amazing. He's tremendous.
And he's already been in Major League, right? He was in year 1. He got 1 game, wasn't able to get back onto a side. But I think with a good minor league, you see the scouts out there.
Yeah.
Ross Taylor saw that inning.
That's
right?
another thing.
Right.
The scouts are out there.
The scouts are watching, and they're paying attention in minor league cricket. And I think that's a big thing, not just for the cool social media thing that we get to do and say, look, Ross Taylor was there, and oh my God, Ross Taylor was there. But for these guys that are playing this game, Gurjendra Singh said in an interview, it just raises their level of play because they want to perform for that guy.
Yeah, Gurjendra Singh did talk about this, and I was happy that he did on the show.
Yeah.
Everybody notices when Ross Taylor's there, and they know that he's there as a scout.
Right.
And he's checking them out. He wants to see how these guys are doing. He wants to find the next diamond. And I think we had a scout down here for the weekend. Another guy from Seattle. In fact, we got the Orcas hat. We're going to give you guys a shout because you're making this effort. But yeah, I've heard that San Francisco's out there too.
Yep.
I'm sure we'll see Washington out there soon. Things like that. Guys, keep it. Whoever's watching it plays in the league. This is exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff. Congratulations to Bhaskar Yadram. He performed in front of the biggest audience and, again, wins our Atlantic Player of the Week. If you're watching, Bhaskar, congratulations. We'll move now into the Pacific Player of the Week. Again, there were some names to be thrown around here. I thought Zayed Sakil was right in here because of what he did with his innings. I thought Abhimanyu Lumba was great. Harmeet Singh had a couple big innings.
You take a 5 for it's almost good enough, like Abhishek Parikar.
Yeah, absolutely. He was right in the mix. I thought, you even think about Shubham Ranjani had a 50 and was consistent all week. But for me, and what we agreed upon, the Pacific Player of the Week goes to Noman Anwar. 30 off of 27 to follow with 43 off 31, and then to follow that with 49 off 19. Had the benefit of playing 3 games compared to other guys who maybe had 1 or 2 games of stats. But he's so crucial to that top order, and he performed in every single match.
Oh, absolutely. Him and Zahid Zakil,
Yep.
both of them together. I think this is it's really good stuff from St. Louis Americans.
Yeah, brilliant there from the St. Louis Americans. Congratulations to you, Noman Anwar, if you are watching. We'll now move into our games of the week. That we've announced everything for this past week. We've got that out the way. Good job, Nate. Congratulations on that. Let's move into next week and what we are expecting. What are our big games? What are we looking forward to? And we'll start out in the Southern Division, because in the South, what I want to look at is, it's not a Church Street Park game. For those of you who know us, might be surprised to hear that. But for me, the game of the week in the South is going to be the Atlanta Derby. They play twice. Atlanta Lightning taking on the Atlanta Fire. Pick any day. They're playing at the Buttermere Sports Complex. This is always a good game. The first time you get to see the Atlanta Derby this season.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think you can move past this particular matchup. We're going to see 2 of them. So it's I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, then, with the Atlanta Derby, let's move into the East, because this one might catch you a little bit for surprise, but for me, I want to see the New Jersey Stallions play more games. The New Jersey Stallions taking on the New England Eagles. That's what I have for you as the East game of the week. Why that? Because the New England Eagles are hungry. They've played 2 games. These are 2 of the teams that have played the least amount, and they both still have opportunities to climb into playoff races.
Yeah, we've only got three games this weekend in the East, 3 games. And 2 of them are this matchup.
Yeah, so we get to see it twice. Kind of a theme for me there, aren't they?
Yeah.
But we'll move into the Central with what we think is going to be the game of the week there. And for me, it's again another team that's going to get its first chance at action. For me, it's the Chicago Kingsmen taking on the St. Louis Americans. Why have I gone with that? Well, the Chicago Kingsmen, they are what many say are the favorites now in the Central because of all the movement that they've gotten back over there. And the St. Louis Americans are currently sitting at number 1. So for me, that's our game of the week.
Well, I like that one, but I want to throw in another one.
All right,
I
throw
think
it in
the
there.
Chicago Derby, the Kingsmen versus Tigers.
I nearly went there.
The Kingsmen, on paper, look like a tougher team. But the Tigers beat them last year, and it's very personal. I think that they want to beat them all the time. And I can't wait to see what happens in this game. I think it's going to be a bloodbath.
I can't wait to see that one. We'll finish with our final game of the week out west, and we talked about it. We kind of alluded to it. I'm going with East Bay Blazers taking on the Seattle Thunderbolts. East Bay, the number 1 team in that division. Seattle, maybe the best of the rest that we haven't seen. I want to see these 2 teams in action. I want to see what they can do.
I can't wait to watch Seattle's debut. So I'm with you there. There's 12 games, though. The game of the week is going to be our job summarizing those 12 games. That's going to be the game of the week.
There you go, and we'll have that for you next Wednesday. Nate, well, that was an exciting weekend of minor league cricket, and there was so much to unpack, so much to go on, but we would be remiss if we didn't mention a big piece of information here. Ayan Desai gets his maiden call-up to the USA. They announced the squad's going over to Namibia. Sushant Madani's back, but for me, Ayan Desai's in. That's a huge win.
Ayan Desai in the team is massive. I'm excited for him.
Yep.
He's earned it. And look what he's done in minor league in just the last 3 seasons. If you look at his progress, it's been like this. Mm-hmm. And, now he's on this part.
Yeah, absolutely. He was phenomenal, and I can't wait to see what he's able to do. He's been great in minor league cricket, and I think he's going to be phenomenal in USA colors whenever he does get a game.
We'll be cheering for him for sure.
We will be. Utkarsh Srivastava still hasn't gotten his first cap, but he's back into the squad as well. Andres House is going for the ODIs. He's in the squad there, so brilliant stuff. Quick stuff in the chat here before we close. How do I find the Joe Hickey interview? When is that coming out, Nate?
Publishing it tomorrow. I have to finish it up. Got to finish editing it, and then we'll publish it on tomorrow, and we'll social it.
There you go. MLC Network tomorrow. Nate, any final words before we go?
Just stay tuned every week. Join us every week. Look out for the interviews we'll be posting. And, thanks for chatting with us.
There we go, guys. We have such a blast doing this with you, and we're so happy that we were able to bring you this content every single week. We thank you for tuning in with us. It was an absolute blast to do this. Minor League just seems to get better and better every single week and every single day. So again, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for everything that you have done. And if you are willing to want to help out with this show, please reach out. We are more than willing to talk to you about sponsorship, with partnering. We want to bring the best content to you guys. And for myself, Aman Patel, for Nate Hayes, and for Aster Media Group, led by Bob Urbeg, who's our producer, director, our extraordinaire behind the scenes, we thank you for joining us today, and we can't wait to see you next week.